thank you all on behalf of the Tavangar family, my mother, siblings. Would like to welcome you all to this celebration of my father's life. I would ask our dear Kathy Penn to give us some introductory remarks, and then the program will proceed from there. Thank you.
Good morning. I greet you all on behalf of the Continental Council that I serve, and I welcome you on behalf of this beloved family of Ali Tavangar. I love this family so much. They're all over the place, but I love them so much. I can't even describe how much I love this family. And I think we're all here because of our love for this dear family. And they have had such an impact on my life. And I'm sure they've had an impact on all of our lives. You'll hear much today about the life of a great soul whose life and sacrifices and contributions were inspired by a new revelation and his profound faith in a new divine messenger of God. The message of this Baha'i faith and of Baha'u'llah, its founder, is very simple and yet very all-encompassing. It promises a sometimes hopeless humanity that we are all one, and that all the religions that we follow were sent by the same loving Father. At different critical moments in mankind's history, a new messenger has been sent to the world to reinforce our efforts and affirm our basic spiritual oneness. Many of us here have come from different religions and different religious backgrounds, and because of the recognition of the messenger of God for this day, whose main aim is to unite all peoples and all religions, we affirm and practice the oneness of religion. We all have the capacity to recognize this truth and to learn to work together to make the oneness of humanity a reality. And it's this very hopeful message that sustained dear Ali Tavangar and inspired him to give his all to it and to raise a wonderful family who will continue to work on for these same noble principles and with such distinction as they do serve. I knew Ali very well, but unfortunately, my Persian is not very good. So we could not really communicate through language, but through our eyes. I read a lot about the soul of this man. And we'll read today a lot on the Baha'i view of the nature of this life, and that it's not based on the changes and chances of this physical world, but its true significance is found in the development of the soul. The life of the soul just occurs for a brief time in this world, and then it continues on into the next. The difference in these worlds is sometimes compared to the difference of the life in the womb of the mother and the life in this world. In each life, we develop what is necessary for the life to come. We develop in the womb what is needed for this physical world, this physical life. And we develop in this life what is needed for the next life, the spiritual qualities, the development of the soul, so that we enter the next life with a spirit that is pure and free from dross. And as we joyfully are welcomed into this life in birth, everyone waits, right, for the baby to come into this world. In the same way, we're welcomed into the next world and to continue the journey of the life of the soul. And I do believe that sweet Ali Tavangar is welcomed with open arms and much joy into the next world. So we want to thank this dear family for giving us the opportunity to come here today and give honor and pray on behalf of dear Ali Tavangar, and for giving us also the opportunity to reflect on our own lives and what we are making of our souls while we are in this life. What a blessed opportunity to be able to come together and do this, to thank God for the blessing of knowing Dr. Tavangar, and to consider how we will continue to develop our souls in this life during the brief moments that are still left to us.
think it's only fitting that I followed Kathy Penn, because Kathy Penn and Ali Tavangar are the ones that really introduced me to the faith. And one of the first firesides that I attended, Rose was there, and Sherry, and they were talking about what the Baha'is were doing in Africa. And I just fell in love with the Tavangar family. And each new edition just brings more love. And Dr. Tavangar and Mrs. Tavangar were there, and they were just so loving and so open and welcoming. And no matter when you saw him, he was always very happy to see you, and always open arms, and always pleasant and smiling. Now I'd like to read this prayer. O my God, verily thy servant, humble before the majesty of thy divine supremacy, lowly at the door of thy oneness, hath believed in thee, and in thy verses have testified to thy word, have been enkindled with the fire of thy love, have been immersed in the depths of the ocean of thy knowledge, have been attracted by the breezes, have relied upon thee, have turned his face to thee, have offered his supplications to thee, and have been assured by thy pardon and forgiveness. He have abandoned this mortal life, and have flown to the kingdom of immortality, yearning for the favor of meeting thee. O Lord, glorify his station, shelter him under the pavilion of thy supreme mercy, cause him to enter thy glorious paradise, and perpetuate his existence in thine exalted rose garden, that he may plunge into the sea of light. In the world of mysteries, verily, thou art the generous, the powerful, the forgiver, and the bestower.
والله تعالى پروردگارا نفس نفیسی به ملکوت شهود سود نمود و از خاکدار به جهان جاودانی شتاب میهمان جدید است عزیز فرما بنده قدیر ey biniyoruz, biyomuz, ve binemoz, ve بخلوتگاهم راز راده و در محفل تجلی همدم بدم ساز نما توی دهنده و بخشنده و مهربان و توی آمرزنده و نوازنده و توانا
Oh my God, oh thou forgiver of sins, dispeller of griefs, dispeller of afflictions, verily I beseech Thee to forgive the sins of such
O Son of the Supreme, I have made death a messenger of joy to thee. Wherefore dost thou grieve? I made the light to shed on thee its splendor. Why dost thou veil thyself therefrom? O Son of Man, thou art my dominion, and my dominion perisheth not. Wherefore fearest thou thy perishing? Thou art my light, and my light shall never be extinguished. Why dost thou dread extinction? Thou art my glory, and my glory fadeth not. Thou art my robe, and my robe shall never be outworn. Abide then in thy love for me, that thou mayest find me in the realm of glory. Man's merit lieth in service and virtue, and not in the pageantry of wealth and riches. Take heed that your words be purged from idle fancies and worldly desires, and your deeds be cleansed from craftiness and suspicion. Dissipate not the wealth of your precious lives in the pursuit of evil and corrupt affection, nor let your endeavors be spent in promoting your personal interest.
The purpose underlying the revelation of every heavenly book, nay, of every divinely revealed verse, is to endue all men with righteousness and understanding, so that peace and tranquility may be firmly established amongst them. Whatsoever instilleth assurance into the hearts of men, whatsoever exalteth their station, or promoteth their contentment, is acceptable in the sight of God. How lofty is the station which man, if he but choose to fulfill his high destiny, can attain. To what depths of degradation he can sink, depths which the meanest of creatures have never reached. Seize, O friends, the chance which this day offereth you, and deprive not yourselves of the liberal effusions of his grace. I beseech God that he may graciously enable every one of you to adorn himself in this blessed day with the ornament of pure and holy deeds. He verily doeth whatsoever he willeth.
حضرت بهاءالله می‌فرمایند مقصود از کتاب‌های آسمانی و آیات الهی آنکه مردمان به راستی و دانایی تربیت شوند که سبب راحت خود و بندگان شود. هر امری که قلب را راحت نماید و بر بزرگی انسان بیفزاید و ناس را راضی دارد مقبول خواهد بود. مقام انسان بلند است اگر به انسانیت مزین و الا پست است، پست‌تر از جمیع مخلوق مشاهده می شود.
Life is not the changes and chances of this world. And its true significance is found in the development of the soul. True life, the life of the soul, occurs in this world for a brief time and continues eternally in other worlds of God. Know thou of a truth that the soul, after its separation from the body, will continue to progress until it attaineth the presence of God, in a state and condition which neither the revolution of ages and centuries nor the changes and chances of this world can alter. It will endure as long as the kingdom of God, his sovereignty, his dominion and power will endure. It will manifest the signs of God and his attributes, and will reveal his loving kindness and bounty.
Know verily that the soul is a sign of God, a heavenly gem whose reality the most learned of men hath failed to grasp, and whose mystery no mind, however acute, can ever hope to unravel. It is the first among all created things to declare the excellence of its Creator, the first to recognize his glory, to cleave to his truth, and to bow down in adoration before him. If it be faithful to God, it will reflect his light, and will, eventually, return to him. If it fail, however, in its allegiance to its Creator, it will become a victim of self and passion, and will, in the end, sink in their depths. Baha'u'llah.
This is a poem by Rumi in English, and then followed by the original Farsi. When my bier moveth on the day of death, think not my heart is in this world. Do not weep for me and cry, woe, woe. Thou wilt fall in the devil's snare, that is woe. When thou seest my hearse, cry not, parted, parted. Union and meaning are mine in that hour. If thou commit me to the grave, say not, farewell, farewell. For the grave is a curtain hiding the communion of paradise. After beholding descent, consider resurrection. Why should setting be injurious to the sun and moon? To thee it seems a setting, but 'tis a rising. Though the vault seems a prison, 'tis the release of the soul.
Original Persian poem that Jahangir just read. I felt that Mr. Tavangar was such a scholar, among other things, that when I'm going to read this in Persian, I feel that it came from his mouth. And I truly believe that. به روز مرگ چو تابوت من روان باشد گمان مبر که مرا دل در این جهان باشد برای من مگرد مگری و مگو دریغ دریغ به دام دیو در افتی دریغ آن باشد. جنازه‌ام چو ببینی مگو فراق فراق مرا وصال و ملاقات آن زمان باشد. مرا به گور سپاری مگو وداع وداع که گور پرده جمعیت جنان باشد. فرو شدن چو بدیدی برآمدن بنگر غروب شمس و قمر را چرا زیان باشد. تو را غروب نماید ولی شروق بود لحد چو حبس نماید خلاص جان باشد.
Shed a ray of light on this gathering, that it may become illumined. Shed a ray of light, shed a ray of light on this gathering, that it may become illumined. Shed a ray of light, shed a ray of light, shed a ray of light, a ray of light, shed a ray of light.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
This is another poem by Rumi. How should the soul not take wings when from the glory of God it hears a sweet, kindly call? Why are you here, soul? Arise. How should a fish not leap fast into the sea from dry land when the ocean so cool the sound of the waves reaches it? How should the falcon not fly back to his king from the hunt when from the falconer's drum it hears to call, "Oh, come back"? Why should not every being begin to dance atom-like around the sun of duration that saves from impermanence? What graciousness and what beauty, what life-bestowing, what grace. If anyone does without that, woe, what air, what suffering. Oh fly, oh my soul bird, fly to your primordial home. You have escaped from the cage now, your wings are spread in the air. Oh travel from brackish water now to the fountain of life. Return from the place of clay now to the high seat of souls. Go on, we are going, and we are coming, O soul. From this world of separation to union, a world beyond worlds. How long shall we here in the dust world, like children, fill our skirts with earth and with stones without value, with broken shards without worth? Let's take our hand from the dust grove. Let's fly to the heavens high. You have the grace of the answer. You know the question as well.
Those of you who, as I did, had the privilege of knowing my father, know that he was dedicated to two things. One was philosophical, and that was his faith and the virtues that he kept firm every day of his life, and the peace with which he greeted everyone. And the other was my mother. And she really was a true companion to him and he to her. And the last few years of his life, where his physical strength began to wane, he was more open to sharing his love, not only to her, but to the rest of us in the family, which for the old generation, it wasn't very traditional. And also, he began to write some poetry for her, to praise her, to express his love for her. And so we've selected one selection of poetry that he wrote, in fact, with his own beautiful calligraphy. He had a very beautiful handwriting. And this is dedicated to my mom, and talks about how she is the moon in his night. She takes care of him physically, spiritually. You know, he was engaged in research and writing all his life. Every day, every time he went to his house, he was surrounded with his books and notes and articles that he was reading and writing and reviewing for people who would ask him to make corrections or give comments. And of course, his #1 editor and reviewer was my mom. He would write the article or the chapter and it would say, could you look at this and see what I missed? And so he makes a reference in this poem about her efforts in that regard as well. And he talks about his children, how he is proud of them. And it's all because of my mom, as he states it. So I didn't want to do this poem injustice with some half-baked translation. So I'm going to just read this in Persian, but you know the gist and you know the spirit of it. It's titled Gratitude, سپاس. همسری دارم که اندر خانه غمخوار من است. وقت بیماری طبیب و هم پرستار من است. او به من مأنوس و من انسی به او بگرفتم. گویا من جسم او چون روح سیار من است. با من او یک رنگ و یک روی و امین است و صدیق. رازدار و مهربان چون گنج اسرار من است. پیشتر زان که شباید مهیا شام ماست. صبح چون صبحانه آرد فکر ناهار من است. هرچه بنویسم اگر سهو و خطایی اندروست، با نگاهی گوید آن سهوی که در کار من است. گاه غرد همچو رعد و گاه گرید همچو ابر. گاه خندان بشکفد گویی که گلزار من است. در طریق مادی گر مختلف باشد نظر، در امور معنوی بر وفق افکار من است. 4 فرزندی بپرورده است کاندر زندگی، هر یکی نورافکنی اندر شب تار من است. از خدا خواهم که فرزندان ما را هم به فضل همسری قسمت کند که از مهر چون یار من است. شکر یزدان کن توانگر دائما از روی صدق، هم بر پروردگاری کو نگهدار من است.
Glimpses from the life of Dr. Ali Tavangar. Dr. Ali Tavangar was born in Nazafabad, a small town outside of Esfahan, Iran in 1915. He attended the only primary school at the time in Nazafabad, and this was established by the local Baha'i community for the benefit of the entire town. Upon graduation from that school in 6th grade, he had shown such academic promise that he was hired to teach in the school for a year. After the year, to continue his education, he and 2 other young teens walked a full day to Esfahan and rented a room on their own, where the 3 boys would often subsist on dry bread sent from Najafabad and might fish for their dinner from the stream that ran by the front of the home in which they stayed.
The 3 boys from the village were ridiculed by the city boys at school until the results from the first exam came in. At that point, the teacher asked, "Who is Ali Tavangar?" Then he explained that he never gives a perfect score on an exam, but the writing on Ali Tavangar's essay was so lucid and thorough that this was the best exam he'd ever seen. So he took off 1/2 a point, just not to give a perfect score. From then on, Ali and his friends in the village were treated with respect and deference by their classmates. In high school, the young Ali visited the governor of Isfahan during a visit of Reza Shah in order to read a poem written by Ali's father. No young person from a humble family would ever dare such a bold request, but Ali got an audience with the governor and read his father's poem, which encouraged the Shah to build a much-needed road from Isfahan to Najafabad,
which was a potholed, treacherous, flood-prone dirt path. Soon after, for the first time ever in history, a decent road was built, connecting these towns. Today, Najafabad is a relatively prosperous town with its own university. He served for a short time as a military officer. He left a promising career in the military when he witnessed food rations siphoned off to benefit the officer corps and wasn't allowed to question such practices. He recalled how he could not tolerate the presence of deceit or injustice. So he returned to a teaching career, and shortly after being posted in a school, was dismissed from his job for being a Baha'i. The following 4.5 years, he was dispatched by the Baha'i community of Iran to a village as a volunteer to teach where there were no schools or where children had been expelled for being Baha'is.
From there, he studied at the University of Tehran and earned a PhD in Persian literature and Islamic studies. He worked with some of the giants of Iranian literature, like Ali Asghar Hikmat, Badi'uzzamon Firuzanfar, and Ali Akbar Ed Khoda. He worked on teams with these scholars, which published a definitive and comprehensive 10-volume commentary on the Holy Quran, as well as the sources and origins of the stories and allegories in Rumi's seminal mystical book of poetry, the Masnavi, and the well-known comprehensive dictionary of Persian language known as the Lughatnameh de Khoda. During this time, as throughout his life, he offered service in various Baha'i administrative capacities, from coordinating and teaching children to researching and editing new Baha'i publications, which required great courage in a time of limited freedom of speech. Later, he served on the elected governing body known as the Local Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Tehran. Before the Iranian Revolution, he also served on the Local Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Esfahan, and after as an auxiliary board member.
During his doctoral studies, he married Ruha Burumat, known to those of us up here as Madarja. She was a graduate of the Teachers College in Esfahan and continued her career throughout their years in Iran. Within 3.5 years, they had 3 boys, Bozorgmer, Behruz, and Jahangir. And 6 years after Jahan was born, Dr. Tavangar said, "We finally got our angel with Nahid's birth." In 1979, at the time of the Iranian Revolution, 2,000 rural Baha'is, including women, children, and the elderly, were driven from their homes and farms into the desert with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Dr. Tavangar, along with Mr. Mostahim, who is here today with us, were dispatched because of their knowledge and courage to meet with the Ayatollah that ordered the removal of the villagers to plead their case for them to be returned to their home. This was highly dangerous, as people in this position were being executed daily. But Dr. Tavangar didn't back down, and with Mr. Mostahim succeeded in securing the community's safe return.
In 1980, while the Tavangars were visiting their son Bozorg in the Gambia, they received a call from Iran. Relatives informed them that their property had been confiscated, bank accounts seized, pension and salary needed to be repaid to the government, and a warrant was out for their arrest because of their service to the Baha'i community. Many of his colleagues and friends were killed by the regime at that time. As a result, they applied for asylum and came to the United States under refugee status, joining their other children who were students at that time. Despite losing all their material possessions and coming to a new nation with a new language, Dr. Tavangar continued his scholarly pursuits, reviewing and editing new Baha'i publications, writing poetry, authoring multiple books, learning English, and rebuilding a life that revolved around service and family. As a man who had countless volumes of poetry and mystical writings memorized, he embodied the ideals he cherished, living with dignity and nobility, encouraging others, always seeing the deeper significance of life's tests and challenges, speaking out for the oppressed, and appreciating beauty
in all its forms.
So the family has asked that we close by singing together a song. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. If you get to heaven before I do, coming for to carry me home, tell all my friends I'm coming there too, coming for to carry me home. Everybody now. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home, a band of angels coming after me. They were coming for to carry me home. Your last chance. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Coming for to carry me home.
So please join the family at the burial site, which is a brief walk from here, or an even briefer ride if you need that. And then following the burial site, there will be a luncheon at the Valley Forge Convention Center, which you're all invited to. Oh, Villanova, sorry. Villanova Conference Center. And you're all invited to join them there. Thank you so much.